Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Candice. Today we are talking about consumerism. Not just, your basic, you go and buy groceries and clothes and stuff, but like this hyper consumerist kind of culture that we've developed, especially recently, like over the last 10 years or so, and especially with the rise of like YouTube videos and TikTok and all of these things. We're going to talk about consumerism and how it really affects us as Christians, how the feeling of going and needing to go shop can be a deeper issue. We're just going to kind of address it and go into it. First, we're going to pray, then we're going to dive right in. God, thank you so much for providing for us, for giving us an abundance of resources, and for, just being with us always. And even if we don't have an abundance of physical resources, you've given us an abundance of spiritual resources. And just for being with us all the time. Please help us make conscious, good decisions when it comes to consuming things. And if any of these issues are affecting anybody watching this video, or myself included, hello, because I'm right here, please help us be aware of them, knowledgeable of them, and help us work through them. I ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Okay, so if you've been online, like at all, right, you've probably seen all of these like restock videos and hyper cleaning videos and just all of this stuff. That's really all of these things are doing is just promoting the purchasing of more goods, right? Promoting purchasing special cleaning products or special cleaning tools, promoting, buying like 50 of these different drinks so you can make your fridge look aesthetic, right? Or buying all these specific organizing bins, the clear acrylic organizing bins, right, to make your bathroom look, picture perfect and all of these things. And honestly, it's really driven a lot of consumerism, right? It's driven a lot of people to purchase all of these things. Now, I'm not knocking the people who are putting these videos out there because honestly, everybody has their own way of making a buck, right? But I think as Christians, it is our responsibility really to monitor what we are consuming, with our eyeballs first off, right? And then be aware of how that is affecting our consumer habits, right? Now, the thing is, as women, let's face it, I'm going to generalize a little bit here, but I am a woman and I have experienced this, so I'm speaking from experience here, okay? As women, right, we tend to go shopping to fix a problem. We go shopping to fix boredom. We go shopping because all of a sudden we stare in our closet and we feel like, everything in here is old and I don't even know what I'm going to wear. I don't look good in any of this. Right? We go shopping to feel better about ourselves. We go shopping to get a little quick fix of, I got this new item for my home, right? We go shopping a lot of the times for not very healthy reasons, right? Myself included, I've done this. I've had it where I've had like a really bad week and then felt myself really wanting to go thrifting just to kind of make myself feel better about the bad week, And there's nothing necessarily like inherently wrong with that, right? It's monitoring our habits and really realizing why we're doing what we're doing, right? So it's one thing to do it as a little pick-me-up, right? But if you're doing this consistently, right, every time you feel low or every time, you're having an anxiety about something or every time you're having a problem at work, right? If we do it consistently whenever we're feeling that way, that we're always going and turning to shopping, right? Then it's obviously a problem, and that's where we need to take it to God, right? Now, when it comes to shopping, especially for women, I don't know so much about the men, okay? I'm not a man, right? I know men usually are more apt to buy like robotics and like big toys like boats and motorcycles and stuff, but hey, if y'all relate with any of this and you're a man, go ahead and throw it down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. But for the women, okay, right, most of the time when we are shopping and it's like in excess of what we need, right? Because we know we need food. We know we need enough clothes at least to cover ourselves for at least a week or two without having to do too much laundry, right? We know we need like the basics, right? But when we're shopping and just like continually accumulating things, right, that we don't necessarily need, or we already have 5 cardigans and we go and buy another one, stuff like that, it's usually because we're using shopping as like a balm to cover up some other issue, right? And these issues could be self-image issues, right? If you tend to buy a lot of makeup, a lot of clothes, a lot of shoes, you might be having some self-image issues, right? To feel the need to continually change yourself or try to make yourself look better, right? Self-worth issues could be a thing. Trying to, you gonna come on up? You coming? There you go. Self-worth issues could be a play in this. A mindset of keeping up with the Joneses, or like trying to appear successful by being able to do things like go on 3 vacations a year or buy that brand new car, Sometimes it might be something like you're feeling like your house isn't good enough because it's not aesthetic like all the other homes that you see on, like YouTube, Instagram, social media, all of these ones where it's like all beige or all coordinating colors and, looks very nice and well and put together and doesn't have a single toy or piece of clothing that managed to fall on the floor or no dog fur or cat fur anywhere. Right? The kind of homes that it doesn't look like that all the time, but you want to make your home look like picture perfect, so you go and buy new things to match whatever aesthetic it is you think you're trying to make. Right? It could be a balm for feeling discomforted, like I said, feeling depression or feeling failure in some way, shape, or form, or even just, trying to cure boredom, right? Sometimes it can be a balm to like a scarcity mindset, right? Especially, sorry guys, my nose itches every video. Sometimes, like, if you're like myself and you grew up on the poorer end of the spectrum, right? You can want to have a lot of things because it kind of makes you feel comfortable. It makes you feel like, okay, well, if I need this, I have it, right? Which isn't the healthiest mindset to have necessarily, or like this, because it's rooted in this fear of not having enough, this fear of that God won't provide for you, that somehow, if you don't make it happen, if you don't have everything, that, your life's gonna fall apart, stuff like that. And if you're dealing with any of these issues, like, hey, I totally feel you. I've done probably most of the things on this list, right? Over the course of like shopping when I was a teenager and then in our early 20s and now I'm like in my 30s. Like, I've shopped out of boredom. I've shopped because I had a bad week. I've gone and, purchased things to replace perfectly functional things that I already owned because the new thing looked better than the old one. Like, I've done most of these things at some point, so I'm speaking from experience here. If we're shopping for these reasons, right, if we're habitually, I'll put it this way, if we are habitually shopping and these are the underlying issues of why, that's something we really need to take to God and talk to him about. Because honestly, like, if we're going into debt, especially, like, if your shopping is at that level, like, I never went into debt for my shopping, but if your shopping is like you're putting it on credit cards and it's just snowballing out of, control, that really is something where you definitely need to address the underlying issue. And God is the only one who can address that. I mean, come on. If you are feeling like a failure because you equate wealth with success and being able to shop or go on vacations or go eat out 3 times a week with success, that's something God's going to have to work with you and realize that your success and stuff, that's not your worth. Like, your worth is in God, right? Same thing if it's like a self-image issue and you're buying all this makeup and all these clothes and all these shoes because you don't feel pretty enough or you don't feel good enough if you don't have a certain name brand or whatever else. Like, God's going to work with you on those issues and heal you from whatever led up to you having them to begin with, right? And that's the thing, like, consumerism is a state of life. We consume things, we buy food, right? We buy a home, right? We buy furniture, we buy decorations for our home, we buy clothes and shoes and all of these things. I think it's just monitoring when it becomes, from getting what we need to just like going crazy on the what we want instead. I mean, how many of you, I'm not like trying to call you out here, but how many of you have kids, right? And the kids' toys are kind of out of control. Now, that might not be all of you buying it, right? It could be gifts from grandparents, cousins, hand-me-downs, all of these things, right? But when we let consumerism get to the point where our homes are kind of overflowing, we have more than we need. Like, we have so much that you could rummage through a box 6 months from now and not realize that what was in there you were missing in the first place, right? Like, if your closet is so full that you can't move the hangers around at all, and no shame, of course, but I've been there and I don't have a very big closet. But if we're at the point where our stuff like is just a lot, right? And if you stepped on the Legos for the 50th time in one day and you're tripping over stuff and everything else, like, it might be time to address the root of where those things are coming from, right? As Christians, like, we are promised in the Bible that God is going to provide for us. God does not say specifically that he's going to provide for a house about 4 vacations a year and eating out 12 times in a month, but he does say he will provide all of the things that we need, right? All of our needs will be provided by him. And like, as I've gotten older and as I've like gone through these issues myself and dealt with them, and like gone through and decluttered the things that needed to go and stopped the constant influx of stuff, right? Like, I feel like I've become way more content in life. I have become way happier with my state of being. Like, I don't feel as what's the word? Sorry. I don't feel like as stressed out about money, right? Because I'm not purchasing as much, so I'm living way more cheaply, right? So it's not like as big of a stressor thing. I have no debt, Like, for those of you who do have debt, snowballing it down until you have done. It's a beautiful thing when you are not in debt. The Bible even warns against getting into debt in the first place because you basically become a slave to it, which is totally true. I mean, come on, how many people have a credit card balance you haven't paid off and you're just like stressing out about it because you need to pay at least the minimum every month, right? I think this hyper-consumerism, though, it's prevalent, just in regular society, but it's also prevalent in the Christian community, where you would think it wouldn't be as prevalent, I guess. I mean, like, we're told in the Bible to, give freely to help other people. We're promised that God will provide all of our needs for us, and we are told to be content with the things that we have, right? And not like constantly be envying what other people have. And yet that's exactly what social media and all of these videos and snippets and things are promoting. And let's face it, okay, when the advertising industries for all these things are spending like billions of dollars on advertising, it's obvious they're spending that much because it works, right? If they put this ad in front of you 50 different ways, it's going to subtly influence you to try and buy that thing, right? Even if you don't need that thing, or you already have a thing that looks like that thing that does the job perfectly functionally already, it'll still influence you to try and buy it, right? And that's where I think one of the main things for me personally to like curb my spending, when I was first starting to realize that I shouldn't be, spending as much, back in the day in the 20s, one of the biggest things for me was not watching advertisements, right? And like, even these restock videos that just have come out recently, like, I'm watching them, and now that I have this mindset of, that I don't need all this excess stuff, that I have really everything I need already, I don't, need a bunch of excess nonsense in my life. I've done the decluttering and all of that. As I'm watching these things now, I'm like, that's just a lot of waste. Like, it seems like a lot of waste, just a lot of excess, a lot of things that people are then going to need to clean later because they now just made all these purchases. So now you have 50 nooks and crannies inside of your fridge instead of 12, Like, for me, as I'm watching these now, it's very easy to see the excess, right, and not be influenced by it. If you're the type of person who watches like thrift hauls or like clothing hauls, and then all of a sudden you're feeling very discontented with your own wardrobe afterwards, maybe not watching those videos for a while might help you out. I know, like, I've watched those from time to time, and I'm like, oh, that's cute, or that's cute. Oh, I didn't think you could put it together that way, when people are doing outfits and stuff like that, right? But for me, I've gotten to the point where, like, God's been poking around with this idea for me to take 1 year and do a no-spend year. Which, if you'd asked me to do this or said that I would do this probably like 5 or 6 years ago, I would have been like, say what? But I'm at the point where, like, I look at my wardrobe, I look at my kitchen things, bathroom necessities, all the stuff, and I'm like, I have what I need, right? Like, I'm not lacking, right? I'm not lacking in furniture, I'm not lacking in tchotchkes, like, I'm not lacking in any particular area, right? So for me, I want to do a whole year of not spending on anything unnecessary, right? So I'd still be buying, food and stuff like that, but nothing unnecessary. I'm going to do another video about that here, and I'll record it after this one, so you guys will be able to see it soon enough. But I just wanted to put this out there because I know consumerism has been a real big thing these days. The aesthetic look, the restocking, all of this stuff has just been huge lately, and it's driving up consumerism when it doesn't really need to be, right? And as, Christians, like, for us to be hyper-consumerists, like, it just means that there's something lacking there in our relationship with God, right? If we are turning to shopping all the time to get a fix, if we are thinking that all of these new cleaning gadgets are going to fix our lives and give us more time and, fix all of our issues, that just is an indicator that there's something going on in our relationship with God that's not fully there yet, right? Like, there's a trust thing, maybe that's not connecting, or a faith thing that's not connecting. And so, of course, our biggest combat to these issues is going to God and talking to Him and just having these conversations with Him and asking Him, what He wants you to do, or how He wants you to approach certain things, or to heal you from whatever it is that's causing you to want to spend so much, right? I hope this video has helped you out in some way, or, open-eyed, something. I'm going to go ahead and log off of this one and talk about the no shopping video here next. See you guys next time. Bye.